Yo, what's good with you? Back in black with another Enlisted video. If you guys are new to the channel and you love shooting games just like me, make sure you aim for that like button and shoot that subscribe button as well. It'll help you find better teammates and improve skill-based matchmaking. Today we're going to be talking about the writers in Enlisted and the class, I should say. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, straight off the bat, this video was kind of a slog getting footage for. Reason being, the writers in Enlisted have over time become one of the most perplexing introductions into the game thus far, making a strong case for becoming one of the worst soldier classes in the game. They were initially introduced back in 2021 along with the Tunisian campaign, and the motorcycles and the subsequent Rider Squad was meant to be a fast way to get around the map while also being able to dole out a hefty amount of kills with their mounted machine gun, in theory anyways. They also advertised the riders as a way to get up cheeky rally points or a good way to get off a good flank on a tank, rhyming accidentally, but unfortunately in practice and over the years, I find that the riders and motorcycles in general have become more or less obsolete for a multitude of reasons. First being the actual handling of the motorcycles themselves. Many times I'm trying to use the damn bike as intended, but it handles like I'm turning or like I'm using a beginner vehicle in a Need for Speed game, for lack of better words, or something to that effect. No type of turning radius or traversal ability whatsoever. And what's ironic about this is that ever so recently they did, put out an update to address how easy it is to maneuver around with the motorcycle on various terrain aside from a flat paved road, but me personally, I can't tell. Can y'all? Let me know down in the comment section. I think when they were designing the Tunisian maps, they had a vision and a place for the bikes to be useful, considering most of the battlefield was flat, open land, which plays to the rider's advantage. But every other biome or campaign of maps in the game doesn't really cater to that playstyle, whether it be for riding around fast or using the machine guns over a safe distance. That said, you can see a big part of the reason why their usage has more or less flatlined since we were introduced to North Africa. The next big reason that the rider class and specifically motorcycles suck in this game is because what you can do with them and what they're specifically designed for or what they're supposed to be used for kind of contradict each other in a sense. Considering that riders don't necessarily come with engineers by default, most people who that are basically attracted to the novelty of the motorcycle will try to find a way to get a good use out of the mounted machine gun, which is basically what I tried to use it for when I first saw it was introduced into the game. And the thing about it when it comes to using this machine gun is that getting off a good kill streak with it is going to be extremely hard to do unless you have profound map knowledge to know exactly where to set up the machine gun without being too obvious and mowed down in your overly exposed vehicle that is clearly only meant for speed. And again, when you think about it in that aspect, it kind of shows that these bikes were mostly designed for Tunisia, where obviously you can keep the engagement distances over a long vast distance, and people in AI alike are more likely to miss you as you sit in a stationary fashion trying to use your machine gun, because trying to use it while actually driving the motorcycle at the same time is just like you're not going to hit anything more than likely. And that being said, if you're being forced into a stationary position in an exposed vehicle, you can kind of see why the odds of you surviving using a motorcycle for more than 3 minutes is extremely low. The last and the biggest reason that contributes to the fall off of the rider class and Enlisted as a whole, and I'm sure a lot of you guys were waiting for me to mention this, is the introduction of the armored personnel carrier squads, which in essence do the same thing as the rider class, just at a slightly slower pace and with different types of soldier specialists as well. And on top of that, the vehicle also functions as a mobile rally point. So it kind of gets to a point, and I don't know if this is just like a power creep over time kind of thing with Enlisted, but in my mind, wouldn't it have just made more sense to give the riders access to the more heavily armored vehicles and have them choose between firepower, durability, and mobility? I mean, sometimes my motorcycle, I don't know if you saw in the first clip, sometimes my motorcycle gets shot with just like a few bullets and then it automatically catches on fire. So it would have made sense from a progression path standpoint to end up using the rider class and ending up, with a half track or a LVT. But instead, they decided to make an entire separate soldier class, with the only difference being that the vehicle functions as a spawn point for other people as well. Literally the same type of soldier. So I just kind of question the thought process there, and I don't really see the logic in that one. So I don't know, you guys can let me know how you feel about that down in the comment section. But literally the biggest reason that contributes to the fall off of the rider class is the fact that we now have APCs in the game, which are in every way, shape, or form just better. All that being said, I've already listed out my observable grievances with the rider class, so now we gotta take a turn and speculate on what would be the best course of action as far as making them a viable class to actually use and play. So far, they marginally made the bikes easier to drive while also adding ammo boxes as well, but to me that's kind of just like putting a bandage on a gunshot wound, enlisted pun intended. The easiest and most clear-cut solution, in my personal opinion, is just for them to combine, or basically merge, another enlisted pun, the classes together to create a class with way more vehicle variety, and all the vehicles in that class should retain the ability to spawn teammates. Do you want the smaller speedy bike to act more like a recon vehicle and help your team attack from a different angle as soon as possible, or do you want the bigger, heftier vehicle with more troop capacity and protection for the machine gunners? Going on a tangent, it would also be nice to be able to choose a vehicle based on the map that you're loading into, or maybe just have a way for us to choose where we actually want to fight, but that's neither here nor there. I guess that would just, for the time being, it's just going to have to be, the vehicle is going to have to be something you're going to preemptively have to choose, before going into battle. That was just my first and best suggestion, but let's say they're not going to merge the APC and rider class together. Then what they could do is they could still add more smaller vehicles for the riders to use that, more so fit the theme of being on the agile side of things. I'm personally tired of seeing the model for the Kubla wagon in the Willys Jeep in the game, but not being able to actually use them. Or I guess you can use them, but it's not actually something that you can spawn in with, and I rarely ever see them like just floating around for anybody to use. Again, it fits the progression path from a motorcycle, and I imagine in theory that the Jeeps, whether it be German or American, would be easier to handle on the more rugged terrain than the bike would be, as you guys saw from the earlier clips. And then from there, they could take the big truck, I guess the lorry, or I don't know what they call it for Americans or whatever, but the big truck, basically the troop carrier, and they could add that to the rider class, since it's not necessarily an armored personnel carrier, so it doesn't necessarily make sense for the truck to even be in that class of soldier for a beginner vehicle anyways. But yeah, that's just kind of what would make sense to me for the riders as a secondary option. The last thing they could do to make the riders more viable is add an engineer to the squad by default, and I'm only saying that they should make this the case if they decide that merging armored personnel carrier and rider squads together is something that they just simply won't do. If allowing squads to spawn on a Jeep or a motorcycle is too much, then at least give them an engineer off the bat by default to fulfill that quote unquote role of putting down a rally point on a far off flank super fast that you guys initially envisioned when you brought them into the game in 2021. That said, in the current state of the game, most of the time when I see somebody using a rider class that is not myself, they're I mean, honestly, I do it too, but for the most part, they're kind of just trying to find a way to get off with the mounted machine gun, and more often than not, that just kind of is going to leave you disappointed, as again, you're just in an overly exposed vehicle and you're going to get chopped down in about 30 seconds unless you're just in a miracle spot and nobody notices you. But that's just my personal opinion. You guys let me know what you think down in the comment section. Is there anything else that you would change about the riders to make them viable? Any abilities that you would add? Let me know. And you know, if you have made it this far, I do appreciate you very much for watching. Don't forget to aim for that like button, shoot that subscribe button as well. Help you find better teammates, improve your skill-based matchmaking. And yeah, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Black guy out.